ever wondered why sometimes some of your behaviors or some of the fears that you have about relationships, life, even money for that matter, where does that come from? Have you always had these fears and worries, or is it coming from a negative experience that you would have had in the past? Sometimes people even look at their past and they go, well, I don't understand because I've never had a bad experience or a negative experience when it comes to, let's say, fear around money, or about, the fear about holding on to a job or a relationship, or just this constant being on alert, or the anxiety. Where is this anxiety coming from? Why do I always carry some anxiety that feels like it might not be mine, or I don't have any solid reason to be anxious? And it may just feel like it's not yours. Now, I'm here to tell you that actually it may very well not be yours at all. And this is where the concept of intergenerational trauma comes into place. You might have heard this word, you might have heard it or read it in there's a lot of talks around intergenerational trauma and the trauma being passed on. What does it even mean properly? So when we talk about intergenerational trauma, we're talking about any trauma that was unprocessed, with your, let's say, if it happened to your parents or even your ancestors. Any unprocessed trauma can be passed on from one generation to the next. So it may mean that you were exposed to seeing your parents dealing with the world in a very stressful way, and being afraid to take chances, or being afraid to expand their work or getting the relationship that they truly wanted, and then seeing that and kind of taking it on as if it's your own. Now, this is a very important one, because if you're not able to differentiate between what's yours, what's coming from your own experiences, and what's not yours and is coming from your ancestors or your parents, or it's coming through programming, then you're constantly doing all this work for yourself. You're doing all this therapy, you're doing all the, but you're not really addressing the intergenerational trauma. So then you're left feeling like, well, maybe I'm just broken. Maybe there's just something fundamentally wrong with me, because I've done therapy for years and I don't seem to find out what it is that is actually causing me to be stressed all the time. Or why am I ending up in one bad relationship to the next? Why am I not able to break out of it? The chances are that it is your programming. It is the programming that gets passed on from one generation to another. Now, if you think about it, our parents or grandparents or even ancestors, they didn't have the tools or the knowledge that we have today. They didn't have the accessibility to many different ways of healing their traumas. They may not have even been aware that they are supposed to embrace their emotions, right? So if it's not embraced, if it's not acknowledged, where does it go? So what would have happened is that they would have suppressed it, and then they would have acted it out in different ways. So then as a result of that, what you do is you observe your parents dealing with, I don't know, if they're angry, they may have outbursts. So you immediately associate anger with, catastrophic results. Whereas it doesn't have to be like that. You can be angry and process anger in a very healthy way. So you see how sometimes you're exposed to certain things and you take it on, it's not yours, and then you continue your life having that as if it belongs to you. Now, a big part of doing the inner work involves having to unpack these layers of programming and then giving it back to your ancestors, your parents. If it doesn't belong to you, you don't need to carry it. Because if you do carry it, what then happens is that you're viewing the world from the lens of your parents or, your ancestors. A lot of these traumas wouldn't have happened to you directly. A lot of these events or the things that they have gone through, you were not exposed to that. So why are you still carrying that stress? Why are you still carrying that anxiety? The answer is that this is the only thing you've known, because your caregivers were carrying all these unprocessed traumas. They were dealing with them in a way that they dealt with them, with the limited, with the limited knowledge or information that they had. So now you're doing the same thing, and you really, really don't have to. You don't have to do the same thing. You don't have to carry the same emotions, and you certainly don't have to carry the same trauma adaptation strategies that are no longer serving you.